Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Razak at CMTrading. Today is January 23rd, 2023, and today is Monday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the euro trades higher and clears 109 versus the USD. But first, no major economic events scheduled for today, but as we go into tomorrow and the rest of the week, we've got some major stuff coming up. Now, looking at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the dollar weaker versus the major pairs. And as we look at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ both rallied big last Friday off of support as it hit that bottom line. We're going to take a look at that in just a second. Looking at commodities, gold and oil steady after gaining last week. And looking at the stocks, Google and Facebook were the biggest gainers last week. We're going to take a look at that as well. And lastly, when we look at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin did gain last week and did push higher. But the question is, can it sustain itself? So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're going to take a look at the Euro USD. You could see on a weekly chart. We're going to first take a look at that. We cleared 109. Now we do have resistance at 110. That's really the next roundup number that I would expect it to resist off of and not push higher. But, okay, we've had a massive sell-off if we take into consideration that we've sold off from 122. So we're about 50% from our bouncing, which is, okay, for all intents and purposes, a very important level for the Euro USD. This is really the proof in the pudding of whether or not this is going to be a complete V formation, and we're going to end up somewhere in the 115-ish range, or we're going to teeter out here and peter out and trade sideways and use this 110 as a resistance-ish level. That is yet to be seen, and that's what we're looking at right now. Looking at the GBP USD, also did gain versus the dollar. If we look at the USD Canadian dollar, also did gain versus the dollar as that spiked last week, if you remember. And looking at the Japanese yen, really unchanged for the day, so nothing doing there. So let's just jump into commodities. Looking at gold, it's having a little bit of a problem clearing this 1920, 1938-ish level. Now, 1938 has been a previous area that we've had a lot of concentration of. You could see it right there. Okay, that was support for a very long time. And so this is subsequent resistance, 1920 to 1940-ish level. So that's something to consider as we're not clearing this level with gold. And this may just stall here. And we may find ourselves just trading in a sideways position with not so much momentum. Okay, so just keep that in mind as this is still taking itself in. Now looking at crude oil, we're trading sideways, but we're at the top of the range. Okay, if we look at that $81 a barrel, as this has cleared $80. But remember, it's trading sideways and that's at the top of the range. So all intents and purposes, I'm not so bullish here, but still it has that formation of that wedge formation, or looking for that wedge formation. So it may pop up above here. Okay, $81.50 is a very important level for it. So if it does pop, we could see itself go back to the $88 range. Now looking at the US market, starting out with the Dow Jones, we had a decent push last week. 500-point push from 33,000 to 33,500. You could see that quite clearly there as that Friday momentum continued. Now looking at the NASDAQ, also did continue there as well and rallied back to 11,600. Now the tech stocks are showing some strength there individually. Okay, so if we look at Facebook, look at that. Who would have thought Facebook would gain back to 139? It has been really very strong and making its way back, maybe because investors are anticipating this metaverse and this AI that they're investing so much money into is going to actually pay out. So that's something to consider there. And looking at Microsoft, also did gain nicely to 240. But the other stock that really gained nicely was Google. I mean, look at that, $99 a share, as that has gotten really much stronger and has solidified itself on the upside as well. So consider that as those two big gainers as to potentially give us that move later today if they do extend that rally today. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, we did clear 23,000 last week, but petered out, but we're still steady. Okay, I don't want to say we're going down, but remember, Bitcoin is a very thin asset, so it could go every which way. So if you're trading it with momentum, great. If you're trading it as a position, just be careful, because this thing can really just go back to 17,000 for all intents and purposes today or tomorrow or whenever, okay? So just if you are trading it, just trade the momentum, trade it and scalp it in and out, okay? Because it could potentially hurt you if you hold it too long. And there's really no rhyme or reason right now. It's just a lot of capitulation. You can see the volume is there, but there's no clearing of that volume. There's no indication that's saying, okay, this is going to now find itself in a whole new, upwards trend that we're finding. It may develop into that, okay, but you got to keep an eye on that and continuously look at it. This is Fed Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.